Hello and welcome to the Extra Time Cricket Show. We call it Cricket Show, but today as well, we have a very, very special guest, as you can see. Uh, Before introducing him, let me tell more about it. Actually, we all know about Bharat Army. I mean, this is the biggest fans forum in the world, I believe, at the moment. And he's the founder member of Bharat Army. First of all, welcome to the show. This is something we are also very much excited to know about you, and more importantly, Rakesh Patel. You are not just only representing Bharat Army. These days, you represent the fans' activity, the passion of the Indian sports activity in the country as well. But it was never easy to start a fans forum. So could you please throw something about it and some light about it? Because we never knew that. I mean, how the things got started back 20 years back, or 18 years back, some point of time.
Yeah, well, like you quite rightly said, it's actually 20 years last year during the Cricket World Cup. And the Bharat Army started during the 1999 World Cup, for those of you that don't know. And it started at the India versus Pakistan match in Manchester, when Indian fans turned up in Manchester. And in those days, Manchester had a big Pakistani population. So when we entered the stadium for that match in the World Cup, the stadium was like a sea of green, and all you could see was Pakistani fans everywhere. Very different to last year, if you remember, when it was a sea of blue, obviously, right? But in those days, it was a sea of green. And I walked into the stadium with my three friends, and there was Pakistan fans everywhere. And it was during the Kargil War, so tension was actually quite high in the stadium as well. So we decided that, look, you know what, rather than watch the match, as four people surrounded by Pakistan fans, let's call up all our other Indian cricket fans and let's try and create a section where all the Indian fans would support the Indian cricket team together in the stadium. And obviously, look, the outcome was good. India ended up winning that match. And then after the match, we decided, you know what, that was such a great experience, supporting India like that as a collective voice. We being the most passionate Indian cricket fans in the world, we should have our own supporters group, right? So that's how it started. That's how Bharat Army started. And as you know, right, in the late 90s, early 2000s, the Indian cricket team wasn't playing so well, right? So we weren't winning trophies in those days. So the momentum of getting the fan group growing actually was quite tough, In the recent years, obviously, we've been winning a few trophies, so it becomes a little bit easier. But in those days, when we first started, it was quite tough.
But you have been the founder member of Bharat Army, so there must be a lot of impediments which you faced on your way to make it one of the biggest fans forums in the world. And these days, when you fight against Burma Army, I'd like to hear something about this. I mean, what rivalry you like the most? I mean, the rivalry with the Pakistani fans, or the rivalry against the Burma Army?
Yeah, you know what? It's a good question. No one's really asked that question. What's the comparison between the both? I guess in the early years, it was against the Pakistani fans, because India and Pakistan probably were very similar in those days, right? In terms of their performance. So in those days, yeah, I would say it was very much with the Pakistan fans, but the Pakistan fans never really had an organized group. So we always used to win in the stands and on the pitch most of the time. Whereas with the Barmy Army, obviously the Barmy Army were our inspiration. That's where Bharat Army started from. Having been, born and brought up in the UK, I used to follow cricket. I used to see what they was doing, and I was like, "That's amazing." We must have a similar version of that for Indian cricket, basically. So what I would say now is that, look, we very much compete with the Barmy Army in the stands. The most recent occasion where I would say that we're the best experience was at the Edgbaston Test match in 2018, when actually India lost. But we were in the Eric Holly stand, which is traditionally the most vocal stand for the Barmy Army when they play at Edgbaston. And we had a small section of that stadium which was for the Bharat Army. And we took them on. There must have been about 12, 13,000 Barmy Army in that stand. And there was 1,000 odd Bharat Army in there. We took them on the whole match, and we got a lot of respect out of that because we didn't stop singing right throughout those 5 days, So the rivalry is good. It's healthy. It's a bit of fun. It's a bit of banter, but it's all good. We're all there because we love the game.
But you just mentioned about the songs which you sing at the stadium when the game is going on. So can you please tell us something about it? I mean, which are the songs which you usually sing?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of us, because Bharat Army has a very big presence in the UK. A lot of us are football fans, right? So a lot of our songs come from the well-known football songs. I'm a big Manchester United fan, so I actually make up a lot of the fan songs myself. So you'll hear actually a lot of the Bharat Army player songs are either from Manchester United songs or Liverpool songs or Arsenal songs. So a lot of people actually on social media, when we post our videos, they recognize the songs coming from football player songs actually. So we come up with songs all the time. Now we get people sending us songs as well, saying, "Oh, look, can this be a song for a player?" But yeah, there's plenty of songs that we made over the years. And as we get a new player, we introduce new songs as well. And then we try and make sure everybody understands them and learns them as well, so they can sing the songs as well.
Brilliant. But as I was just mentioning, I mean, it's not just about cricket these days. You support a lot of sports. I mean, whenever India plays, it's Bharat Army who backs the nation, or the national team. So how do you react when you see new fan groups like Fan Indian these days?
Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's all about supporting India, right? It doesn't matter what you call yourself. You can call yourself whatever you want. When you're in the stadium and there's 25, 30,000 fans in a stadium, you want as many people cheering for Team India to try and, win the match effectively, right? One thing that we've always said is that, as Bharat Army grows its community, we want to try and support other sports in India as well, right? So more recently, we've supported, the football teams. We supported through Olympics as well. That was our plan, to be in Tokyo to support the Olympics teams as well. We support the women's cricket team as well now. And we really want to sort of grow our community to be more than just cricket fans, because now, we have got a fairly large following. And actually, most sports fans, they follow multiple sports, not just one sport, right? And if we can create a unified voice across different sports as well, that'd be brilliant. I love what the Blue Pilgrims have done in football. I've got so much respect for Blue Pilgrims because, they're supporting our country now, right? When our country needs their support, and that's a very similar story to Bharat Army, right? When we first started, Indian cricket team wasn't winning anything, right? And so we've been part of that journey where we went through the bad times and we've experienced some good times. And let's be honest, right? India hasn't won a trophy since 2013. So we're going through that period now where they need us again, right? Whereas the Blue Pilgrims, they're supporting the Indian football team at a time, when they need them the most, So I've got a huge amount of respect for them, and being a football fan myself as well, I'll do everything I possibly can to support them, and I've helped them out in the past, and, we've got a very good relationship there as well.
Which club do you support in football?
In India, you mean, or?
In India and abroad.
Well, I'm a big Manchester United fan. I'm a 27-year season ticket holder in Stretford End. So I'm a big United fan. You can see my tattoo here. You can see a red devil there. I don't know if you can see that. So I'm a hardcore United fan. I lived in Mumbai from 2010 to 2014. So I'd have to say, even though Mumbai has now been bought over by, Man City, or as a partnership with Man City, which is quite tough, I'd have to say Mumbai is my team. Yeah.
Brilliant. My next question is that a few months back, or a few weeks rather back, we saw your association with KL Rahul and Gully, where you raised almost 8 lakh rupees as he donated all his kits, World Cup bats and all, and which almost were sold at a whooping price of 2.64 lakhs. So
yeah,
could you please tell me something about it?
Yeah, I mean, when I started off Bharat Army, the objective was always to give back to India somehow. So when we sold merchandise, stuff I'm wearing, or when we sold tickets or whatever, if we made some profits in the early days, we always used to give back to India somehow. It's always been one of our core objectives. It's been part of our values to give back to India wherever we can. And we continue that throughout the 20 years. The situation now is that, we have collaborations, we have partnerships, we know some of the players, and so wherever we can, we like to give back. And the most recent one, like you mentioned with KL Rahul, it was just an idea that came to my head that, look, can we raise some money for, some children in India who are really struggling right now that need our support? And I reached out to KL Rahul through his Gully brand. And within sort of a few minutes, he agreed to actually do it. I think it was a fantastic gesture by KL Rahul to do that. He didn't have to do that, and he very, very quickly agreed to do this. And we raised, like you said, a lot of money. And our members from Kentucky in USA, Australia, Dubai, Singapore, UK, and of course India. These individuals from these countries all purchase these products, right? So it goes to show how well spread Bharat Army is in terms of our fan base, our member base, basically.
You call yourself the 12th man of the Indian cricket team. How do you relay your relationship with the Indian cricketers who play in the first 11, in fact?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think one thing's important, right, is people understand our values. As a fan base, is one thing that I really wanted to instill very early on. That in the early days, you would have remembered that when India used to lose matches, particularly World Cup matches in big tournaments, players' houses used to get burnt, and effigies used to get burnt, and stones used to get thrown at their houses, and all kinds of stuff, right? And one of the kind of values that I wanted to instill within our fan group, particularly, is that whether you win or lose or draw, right, that you must support your team, you must support your country, right? And that's really important. That's why, if you look through our social media, when we lose, we don't get emotional, right? You win and lose, it's part of sport, right? But you have to support your team, you have to support your country. And I think that's really important, right? And I think as Indian cricket fans, I think we've matured, right? We see less of that now. We see less of that emotional kind of reaction when we lose a game, When we lost to Pakistan in the Champions Trophy, a lot of the Bharat Army guys actually went over to the Pakistan fans and congratulated them. You would have never seen that in 1999. That wouldn't have happened, right? But these days, this is what happens, right? And I think that's the way it should be. It's sport. It's a game. You win and lose.
Well, for a moment, I'm feeling like I'm pulling your legs. I mean, if a pre-season tour happens and if Manchester United plays Indian football team, which team would you support?
I always say country before club. Always, yeah.
So your tattoo won't speak much then.
Hang on a minute. There's the India flag there as well, yeah? India flag is bigger.
Okay. My next question is that I was just going through your website and all, and it was saying the next tournament which you guys are aiming up is definitely the IPL, which is postponed for an indefinite time, this point of time. So yeah. What's your plans for the Australia tour?
Yeah, I mean, look, at the moment, as far as we stay in contact with our partners, in ICC, and we've been told at the moment, until you hear anything different, the T20 World Cup is going ahead, right? Hopefully you saw our presence in the Women's World Cup. One thing that was very important in part of our objectives is that, we spread our support for the women's game as well. And I personally committed to make sure that we would support the women's game in the same sort of way as we support the men's game. So everything that Bharat Army does for the men's team, we did for the women's team, right? We couldn't be in two places at once. We'd love to be in New Zealand, but obviously we made a decision to support the women's game, so that's where we went, basically, yeah? But going forward, the T20 World Cup is huge. We have a huge presence in Australia now. We've sold out all of our bays. We sold out most of the tickets in our bays for the Men's World Cup within 48 hours. So we had a huge demand for tickets, as you can imagine, for the Bharat Army party bays. And look, if it goes ahead, it's going to be one hell of a party in Australia, right? So let's just cross our fingers and hope we get there.
Brilliant. If we look back, I mean, how big was it, in fact, for Bharat Army to see the entire Indian team to celebrate with them at Sydney Hotel after the series win back in 2018?
I think it's massive, right? I think as a fan group, you can't ask for anything more than the players recognizing your value, your support in the stands, right? And it's not something we asked for. It's something that the BCCI did for us, to thank us for not just their support during the Australia series, because I think it's quite important to understand this, right? But before the Australia series, we had South Africa at the beginning of 2018, and then we had England in 2018 as well, and then we had Australia at the end of the year. So I think it was a great gesture to show, gratitude towards, Bharat Army and the support we gave them throughout the year. And like I said to you before, we lost in South Africa, we turned up in England. We lost in England, we turned up in Australia, and we were there when they won, and thankfully they agreed to celebrate with us. So it was a very surreal moment, to be able to celebrate a historical series win in that as well, with the players that you follow all over the world. It can't get any bigger than that, I think.
Next question is, let us take some questions from our chat as well. Debashish Sen, famous cricket journalist, a senior colleague, he's asking a question. Can you talk about Bharat Army's relation with Sachin Tendulkar?
Yeah. So first of all, Debashish is a very good friend of mine. I see him everywhere I travel around the world. And he always makes time for us and always takes photos of us. So thank you, Debashish, for everything you do for Bharat Army. So look, first of all, I followed cricket because of one man, Sachin Tendulkar. My very first cricket match was at Trent Bridge in 1990, when a very, very young Sachin Tendulkar played in England. And he was the reason I fell in love with the game, right? So I followed his career throughout. So when he retired, played his last game in Mumbai, a whole bunch of Bharat Army guys from all over the world traveled to Mumbai to watch his last game as well. So we saw one of his first games, we saw one of his last games. So we've been there throughout his journey. And when he made his movie, he invited us to the Oval to meet with him and take some pictures with him for a big flag we made, which one of Sachin's famous quotes was that he lived his dream for 24 years. Yeah. And we made a flag. We said, we lived your dream with you for 24 years. So he loved the flag and he signed it for us, and he really thanked us for supporting him throughout those 24 years. So, we have a good relationship with him from that perspective. I think he respects the fact that we've been through that journey with him, and he's given us and many Indian cricket fans and world cricket fans a lot of joy over the years, right? So very, very special moment, yeah.
You've seen two generations of cricket, in Indian cricket to be precise. You have seen when we had that fabulous team when, Sachin Tendulkar, Saurav Ganguly, Rahul Dravid, Virender Sehwag, Mohammad Azharuddin at a certain point of time, they used to dominate world cricket. And now these days, when we have world beaters like Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma, Ravindra Jadeja, all these stars dominate in Indian cricket. How do you relate, or how do you compare these two generations of Indian cricket?
Yeah, it's when you compare sort of the players, we've always had players in our squads that have been some of the best cricket players in that time in the world, right? So like you mentioned, in Sachin's era, we had some fantastic players, probably some of the best batsmen in the world, right? Even now, we have some of the best batsmen performing well, but now we have bowlers as well. And I think the difference between that era and the era now is, we have a combined team, that can, dominate world cricket for a long period of time. We also have a generation of youth that we keep churning out, that we keep developing. So when a bunch of players retire, we bring through another bunch of youngsters. So if you look at the next rung of players, we've got people like Prithvi Shaw, Suman Gill. We've got some fantastic youngsters coming through as well. So I think the difference between then and now is that we have a combined team, that can dominate cricket. We've had a bit of bad luck, I would say. 2019 was quite tough to take. 2017 we were outstanding until the final, so we've had a bit of bad luck, right? But as a team, that's gelling, I think we've got a combined team. Whereas before, I think we had just some superstars in world cricket that perhaps didn't gel enough to win the trophies.
Wonderful. Debashish has written something to you as well. Thanks, Rakesh. Can you talk us about the huge collection you have? Match tickets, replicas, jerseys, etc. over the years?
Yeah, well, when Debashish came to my house in London, and I showed him my collection that I have. So one thing I've always done is wherever I've travelled around the world, I've always kept my match tickets. I've always kept programs. I've always collected the jerseys from the players. It's my memorabilia, and I have hundreds and hundreds of tickets from, you name it, all over the world, right? So whether India played in Kenya, whether they played in Florida, Ireland, Amsterdam, if you remember the Videocon trophy, Australia, Pakistan, and India, wherever we played around the world, I've always kept those tickets. So I have a huge collection, which over the last 30 years that I've been following Indian cricket, I've kept them, and I've got some I've got every India-Pakistan match ticket apart from the 1992 World Cup in Australia. So if anyone has that, please get in contact with me. But yeah, I've got every India-Pakistan match ticket, and I've been to all those matches apart from that one match. So I've got some fantastic items which I'm very proud of that I've collected over the years now, and hopefully I'll continue doing over the next few years as well.
20 years back when you started Bharat Army, you must have had some vision that after 10 years or after 15 years, after 20 years, we'd be reaching over here.
Yeah.
Standing right now, what Bharat Army is standing at the moment, did you expect Bharat Army to flourish like this as the way you dreamt of?
If I'm brutally honest, no. I started this purely for the passion of cricket, for the love of cricket and the love of my country. That was the reason why I started Bharat Army. It was never to grow it to be where it is today. There was never kind of any ulterior motive, because like I said to you early on, back in the day, it wasn't like we were winning a lot. So there wasn't that kind of appetite for Indian fans to travel around the world. The first away tour we did, we went to Jamaica and Barbados. There were 6 of us, watch, a limited over series. So we weren't traveling in big groups. The last tour we did, 11,000 Bharat Army members came to England for the World Cup. So we went from 4 people going to, the West Indies to 11,000 people coming to England, right? So that's a 20-year journey over the years that we've taken to get to where we are. And like I said to you in the early years, it wasn't like that at all, So it's been a long journey. I think as the Indian team has got better and improving and performing better, we've grown along with them, basically, yeah.
Next question, which I'll be taking from Naik Ramya. He's asking how strong Bharat Army is in India or regionally, and what are their plans in Indian regional cricket? That's basically the question, actually.
Yeah, so the next few years are very important for us because India has 2 big ICC tournaments, and one of the things that we're looking to do is to grow our regional fan base. So we have fan base membership now in Mumbai, in Hyderabad, in Bangalore, in Delhi, and we're reaching out to a lot of the IPL fan clubs as well. That actually, obviously, when IPL is not on, come and join and be part of the Bharat Army. It's free of charge to be a Bharat Army member. We don't charge anyone, right? So, and there's lots of benefits you get. Especially in the next 2 big tournaments coming up in India. If you're a Bharat Army member, you get priority of tickets, right? And we know that one of the biggest challenges will be when there's an ICC tournament in India, everybody wants a ticket, right? So, being a partner with the ICC, we get some benefits as well. So, if you're a member, you can join us, you get access to tickets as well. And, we want to spread our community globally, that's the whole objective, to try and take Bharat Army to as many different communities around the world as possible, because, that's when you can truly call yourself a fan club, right? Where, every single Indian cricket fan, I would love it that in the next tournament in India, where every single Indian cricket fan is somewhere associated to Bharat Army, right? When they walk into the stadium, that would be a fantastic achievement, I think, from our perspective.
Yeah, as you just mentioned, I was just going through your website as well, and it was telling that, I mean, if you become a Bharat Army paid member, then you'd be getting attractive benefits. I mean, you have mentioned one of those. You'd be getting a lot of benefits in terms of ICC tournament tickets and all. But what are the other benefits which the fans can avail?
Yeah, so it's not paid membership, by the way. It's free membership. We don't charge for membership. Yeah, membership is free of charge. But if you become a member and you're registered as a member, that when first of all, when there's a tournament, you get the priority of tickets. When we do any events, so we do quite a lot of events. You can be associated to our events. So, for example, whether it's a cricket tournament, that we hold, or whether it's an online activation that we do, whether you want to be part of our podcast. A lot of Indian cricket fans are very passionate about the game, right? And they love to talk about the game. So we started our podcast a few weeks back, and now we have podcasts where Indian cricket fans from all over the world are talking about the hottest topics in cricket, right? So the whole point is that you can be part of our community, no matter where you are. So for example, we had a podcast where we had somebody from Bharat Army Australia, someone from Bharat Army USA, someone from Bharat Army India, someone from Bharat Army UK, and they all share the same passion for cricket, and they're all talking about the same topics, which are the hottest topics at the moment in Indian cricket, right? So it's about growing that community. It's about taking Bharat Army to all the metros, whether it's a tier 1 metro, tier 2 metro, tier 3 metro. That's what we want to do at Bharat Army. And somebody said to me that, when we, why did you come up with the name, Bharat Army, right? And not Indian Army. And I said, well, the thing is that, the real Bharat is in tier 2 and tier 3 metros in India. Yeah. It's not in the tier 1 metros. It's not in Delhi or Mumbai or Calcutta, or Bangalore. It's in those tier 2 and tier 3 metros. Right. And so we want to make sure that we represent every Indian cricket fan, whether it's tier 1, tier 2 or tier 3 metros. Right. And that's the real objective. So that's why our membership has always been free. Right. That's why it's open to everyone. And we want to encourage anyone, wherever they are, to be part of our community, basically.
Next question. As I initiated the thought about Bharat Army, I discussed about it just a few minutes back, that it's not just about cricket. Bharat Army is supporting the Indian national teams in different formats as well, different sports as well.
Yeah.
How do you relate, or how do you explain the relationship and the partnership you have with Sports for All?
Yeah. So so Sports for All, first of all, is run by two friends of mine, Vish and Rishi. And the funny story about this relationship is Vishwas is somebody I met in 2003 World Cup in South Africa. And he saw us having a lot of fun as Bharat Army, and he said, look, can I join you guys and follow you guys around South Africa for the World Cup? We became very good friends after that. And he's traveled all over the world with us. And a few years back, Vish started Sports for All with a friend of his, Rishi. And like I said to you before, one thing that Bharat Army always wanted to do was to give back to India. And I saw the SFA platform as a fantastic platform where we could give back. There are so many Indian cricket fans around the world that want to give back to India somehow, but they don't know how, right? So our partnership with Sports for All allows us to support children from government and BMC schools in India attend these games and play these games. So what we do is we provide the fees. We do a lot of fundraising, we generate money, and we use that money to allow children in India to play in the SFA championships. And we pay for the entry fees, we pay for equipment, we pay for food, nutrition, whatever it might be. And last year, we supported over 3,000 children at the SFA games in Hyderabad and in Mumbai. And hopefully every year, as SFA grows, we will grow with them, and our support will continue to grow. But it's something that's very personal to me. One of the things that frustrates me the most is, when the Olympics are on, and as a nation, we don't compete with some of the other nations, right? And I think that's not because we don't have the talent. I think it's because we're not identifying that talent, we're not developing that talent, we're not nurturing that talent, right? So, one thing that I'm really passionate about is making sure that we find, Bharat Army contributes to finding, the next future Olympians, Indian Olympians, because they're out there. There's some fantastic talent in India. We just got to help identify them. And I think that's where Sports for All does an absolutely amazing job. I can't speak highly of what they do, what they stand for. And it's very much in line with where Bharat Army think and what we want to achieve in sport as well.
We're taking a few questions. First of all, we have a question from Shomuji Day, and he's asking a question. Talk us about your plans as far as the growth of Bharat Army is concerned.
Yeah, so like I said earlier on, right, one of the things we're doing at the moment is we're using some of our partnerships, particularly with maybe some of the players, to really try and get out into India first of all, because we want to grow in India. So we're engaging with some of the IPL teams, the IPL fan clubs, and we're trying to sort of adopt the similar type of model that Bharat Army has in some of the IPL teams where they don't have organized fan clubs, right? So we're engaging in that way. And for me, Bharat Army is all about experience, right? So when people say, what is the Bharat Army all about? It's providing experiences that nobody else can provide. Yeah. Why people want to be part of us is not just because of what you can see socially, but when you go to a match, what kind of experience do you get by being part of Bharat Army? So what we want to do is adopt the Bharat Army kind of model to IPL teams, and grow that within India through IPL. So when IPL is not playing, and India playing in say Hyderabad, we can engage with the Sunrisers and the Orange Army and say, right, turn yourself from Orange Army into Bharat Army now, because now India are in your city, yeah, and we'll offer you the same type of experiences. So we now collaborate with a few of the IPL fan clubs, like the Orange Army, like the RCB guys, and some of the others as well. And the plan is to sort of grow Bharat Army organically in that way. We also recently met the BCCI and try to understand how we could work closely with them. They're really keen to grow the IPL outside of India into other regions, but they're also quite keen for us to help support Test cricket in India. As you know, Test cricket in India is not supported in the same way than T20 cricket is, right? So the BCCI also want us to see how we can help promote Test cricket within India, which Virat Kohli's version of what's most important for him. He always talks about Test cricket being the most important. And you know what? If you talk to a lot of the Bharat Army members as well, the hardcore ones, they will say the same thing, that Test cricket is number one for them, right? So what we have to do is try and encourage more Indian cricket fans to attend Test cricket, and that's where the experience comes in, right? If we can offer a different type of Test match cricket experience, maybe more fans will turn, right? So that's where we're thinking about how we can help the BCCI from that point of view.
I'm sure a lot of people are watching this particular show, and they must have a question which is hovering in their mind: how to become a member in Bharat Army? So could you please throw some light onto it?
It's very simple, right? You go onto our website, bharatarmy.com, you fill in your details, and you're a member straight away, right? What that means is that you'll get regular updates from us in terms of anything that we do. So whether it's a charitable cause that we're following, whether it's some kind of activity or event that we're doing, whether it's a match in India and you want to attend with us, whatever it might be, right? You'll get regular updates from us, and that's the benefit and value of being, a Bharat Army member.
Bhavesh Singh is asking a question, and his question is: how difficult has it been to make the Bharat Army? Today, the Bharat Army is synonymous to an Indian sports fan. Also, the way your team and sportswork created the entire World Cup brochure.
Yeah, I mean, look, we've over the years we've obviously grown in many ways, right? Now we have nearly 20 people that are working for Bharat Army full time in India, in Ahmedabad, where our office is. And we have great partners that we work with. I mean, Sportswalk are absolutely amazing. They do amazing content. Everything that you see on our socials is designed and developed by these guys. And they do a fantastic job for us, right? But we're constantly challenging ourselves. We're constantly thinking about new things that we can do. I don't know if you've seen some of the campaigns that we've been doing during COVID, but we've had campaigns from anything, the Yuzi Chahal dance that we did, which went viral. The BCCI even picked that up. Star Sports picked that up. That was our challenge that we put together with him. From the KL Rahul auction, we've currently got a portrait competition going on where I'm astonished with the talent in India. Some of the player portraits that I've seen are absolutely amazing. There's a whole bunch of different things that we're doing to keep people constantly engaged with cricket, right? So over the years now, we're a lot more mature in our ideas and our thinking, what we do inside the stadium, but also what we do outside the stadium with our partners.
We have some very, very interesting questions. We'll be taking them. First of all, the question is from, yes, Shikhar Khandelwal. He's asking a question: why America is not supporting cricket, as most of the Indians stay there? they also are they also are very crazy about cricket as well? I mean, that's a very good question.
It's a very good question, and people might not know this, but I mentioned earlier on that we had 11,000 Bharat Army members attend the Cricket World Cup in England, right? Out of those 11,000, a third of those came from the USA, right? So we're talking nearly 4,000 Indian cricket fans from the USA.
Problem which is going on. Rakesh, can you hear me?
I can hear you fine, yeah? Can you hear me?
Rakesh, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you. Can you hear me now? Hello?
Okay.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, Rakesh, I'm back.
Okay. Just wondering what happened there.
Yeah, I think that was issues. Sorry about it.
That's okay. It's fine. No problem. So you were asking a question, right?
Yeah.
So the question was
My
again?
question was about yeah. I mean, question came from Shikhar Khandelwal that why Indian American is not supporting cricket in America.
Okay, yes, yeah. So like I said to you, we had almost 4,000 Indian cricket fans from the USA travel to England for the Cricket World Cup. So Shikhar's absolutely right. Cricket in the USA is huge, right? I believe that in the next 5 years or so, we will see an ICC tournament in America. I think it will be split between maybe the West Indies and America. We're seeing the Indian team go to Florida a couple of times now, playing cricket in Florida. And I don't think we're too far away from cricket coming to USA in a big way, right? I think it's a huge market. The biggest challenge we have at the moment is USA to India. The time zone difference is too big, right? So for TV companies, it's not the greatest window, right? So I think there's a couple of challenges around that. But certainly, Shikhar's right. The fan base in the USA is huge, right? If you look at how many Indian Americans travel to ICC tournaments, they travel in huge numbers, So their passion for cricket is no different to ours. Unfortunately, they just live too far away.
Brilliant. Last two questions which I'll be taking. One is definitely from Shivam Raj. He's asking a question for a long time, in fact, that especially, I mean, MS Dhoni and Virat Kohli, they are the biggest assets and biggest crowd pullers these days in Indian cricket. You must be a great MS Dhoni fan as well. So what do you think about the future of MS Dhoni in Indian cricket?
Yeah, I mean, listen, it was the first topic of our podcast, and it's the topic that gets the most debate on our WhatsApp forums and our fans forums. It's a conversation that it gets replayed every other week almost on our forums around Dhoni. And I think, look, my personal opinion is I would have loved for Dhoni to have gone out in style in 2019, because I think that would have been the perfect way for him to finish his career. I think the challenge is now is Dhoni now compared to Dhoni before is a very completely different player, right? And I think if Dhoni should be in the T20 World Cup, we need to be very, very clear about what we're expecting from Dhoni in that World Cup, right? Because we're not going to get the Dhoni that, can win the game at the end or can score, at 200 strike rate at the end like he did before. He's a very different MS Dhoni, right? So for me, I would love for him to have his last tournament, But I think we have to manage our own expectations that if he has one more tournament, that this is what we're going to get from him. Yeah. And this is the value that he will add. Right. But if we're going in with the mindset that MS Dhoni is going to do now what he did before, then I think we'll get a lot of disappointed Indian cricket fans and quite a lot of fans who might regret the decision of having him in the squad in the first place. And that's not the way we want to remember MS Dhoni. Right. So my personal view is I would love him to have one more tournament, but only if we're very, very clear about what we expect from him.
Wonderful. Last question, which I'll be taking from Dharma SRH. His question is, so how do you feel leading the biggest fan club of Team India, managing events, etc. across the globe?
Well, first thing I would say is that, Bharat Army is not about me. It's never been about one individual. It's about a group of people who over the years share the same passion as me, right? So I'm proud, absolutely I'm proud of where Bharat Army is today. But Bharat Army would not be where it is today if it wasn't for the people within the Bharat Army. And there are so many people that have been part of the Bharat Army journey throughout the last 20 years who are maybe behind the scenes or who travel around the world and who have helped create what has become the Bharat Army, right? So absolutely I'm proud, but like I said to you, it's because of the people that make the Bharat Army who the Bharat Army are. And that's very important to remember that, we are a collective, we are one voice in support of Team India, but it's not about one individual, it's about a whole group of people.
Thank you so much, Rakesh. It has been wonderful talking to you. I'm sure that there'll be more colors, more feathers on the crown of Bharat Army in future, and you'd keep supporting the Indian team and keep making us proud with the way you have been doing it abroad. Thank you so much for joining us. Keep subscribing Extra Time YouTube channel to get all the exclusive videos about Indian cricket as well as all the sports which we cover. And at the same time, we feel that Bharat Army will be supporting us big time as well, because we always support the Indian cricket team with the way each and every Indian cricket fan would love to support them. Thank you so much, Rakesh. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Suman. Thanks for your time. Thanks for listening, everyone. Take care. Stay safe.
You too. You too.
Take care. Bye-bye.